I'm moving forward every day, Jesus. I just let him lead the way every second, every minute, every hour of the day. I'm moving with Jesus every day. Sing 24/7 with Jesus every day. Sing 24/7. I'm moving with Jesus. I'm moving with Jesus every day.
Okay. No, I don't have it. Right, but I wish I had it. Some people may think that it's all right to have it because you have vaccination against it. But what are some of the myths that surround this thing called the common cold, otherwise known as influenza? Or is it really influenza? Or is it a common cold, and why do they call it cold? Well, all these questions and more will be answered by our very capable panelists in the person of Dr. Rondell Skeete and Dr. DeShong. Thank you for joining us on JC 24/7.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get to the heart of it as we deal with the cold facts about the cold and influenza. Are they one and the same?
Hi, Pastor. No, the cold is a separate entity from the flu. Although colloquially we tend to mix up the two and interchange them.
Right.
The cold is a milder form of a virus, and the influenza is a different virus altogether. The cold is usually caused by a virus that we call rhinovirus. It could be caused by about 200 other viruses, and the influenza virus is usually caused by some automyxovirus. That is basically the class of virus that it belongs to. You have influenza A, influenza B, influenza C. Right? So they are two separate entities, although they may have similar symptoms.
Wow.
They are different.
So when we talk about runny nose and fever and stuff like that, is that the cold, or is that influenza, or what? What do I have?
That's a fair question. So we would call all those the umbrella term would be coryzal symptoms. You have a runny nose, a cold, fever, headaches. So all of them will come under the same umbrella. So you could have coryzal symptoms with both the common cold and also with the flu. However, these symptoms tend to be significantly worse or more severe with the influenza virus, and complications could be significant, and it could also potentially lead to death. The cold is a milder, more transient form of the coryzal symptoms. You'll get runny nose, you'll get stuff, but the influenza tends to knock you down essentially when you get it. So that'll be more or less the difference. Oh, and also the GI symptoms that you tend to, gastrointestinal.
Okay, back to the translate.
Sorry, symptoms that you tend to get with like the vomiting, the diarrhea. You can tend to have that also with the influenza virus.
Is there a reason
that tend to complicate it?
And this is just an aside. Is there a reason why they call it the cold, or why cold? Is there a reason? Could you?
That's a good question.
right. Don't hot your head about it. Don't hot your head about what is cold.
Oh, probably because of the seasonal variation. It tends to happen more in the cold.
Good one. All right, so let's deal with, because we want to talk a little bit about influenza.
Yes,
because I think influenza.
Focus on the influenza.
Right. I think, influenza affects us greatly, and you said it's seasonal, I think, right?
Yes.
Before we get into why it is seasonal and possibly why it's seasonal, are there common...
What? Oh.
Well,
sorry.
you want to take my chair, sir? No problem, I can seek the answer now. But in terms of the data, do you have any data concerning or statistics regarding influenza in Trinidad or perhaps in the Caribbean?
So our local data, we have from 2014 to 2018, and these are confirmed cases according to the Ministry of Health. So from 2014, there was 4,400 cases documented, then 4,600, 5,900, 6,500, and 7,100. But for the flu season so far for 2019, which began in October, we have 2,919, so 2,919 confirmed cases of influenza, with 24 deaths so far, confirmed by H1N1.
Right. And this is as of October 20?
As early as this week, so November it was updated.
Okay, all right. So that's in December then?
December, yeah,
all right.
sorry.
But the season has not yet ended?
No, the season goes all the way to May of 2020.
So that number obviously would spike to a greater number? Much greater number.
We could expect it to increase, but we're hoping with the preventative measures that we have in place and that we're promoting, that it would not meet the high numbers as before.
So from what you are seeing and, from the perspective that we have now, it is not safe to call it a pandemic by any stretch of the imagination? Or
no, definitely not. It's still falling within expected regional and global levels.
Right. Is it possible, Dr. Skeete, for somebody to have influenza and not know it? And this is, now I look at influenza because I think it entails H1N1. Am I correct to say that? And if
yes.
Right.
H1N1, what you term is swine flu, that falls under the umbrella of influenza A.
Or influenza A. So, first of all, why do they call it swine flu? Because, I would think that it has to deal with eating pork or dealing with the pig or whatever. Why do they call it swine flu?
Well, traditionally, when they initially noted that particular form of the influenza virus it is also able to affect other mammals besides humans. So that particular strain was what they suspected was passed on from pigs to, I guess, people that deal with pigs, like farmers or people that have farms or stuff, passed on to the human population. Usually it would pass from like pig to human, and that would usually be the end of it. But this particular strain developed the ability to pass from human to human.
Right.
And it was, our human population was not previously exposed to it in the sense that the average person. So it was easy for the bacteria, the virus, big mistake, to pass from person to person.
Right. Okay, so we don't
So that
we don't longer call it swine flu per se, or we could still call it swine flu, but it's what?
I mean, if you want to call it swine flu, you could, but that particular, remember the virus will change each time.
After time.
So, I mean, to call it swine flu, that's just a term. I wouldn't still.
Because there were people around the time when it first came out, there were people who were concerned about, hey, you got swine flu, you got to put on the mask and all kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, that was 2009. But so since then, the virus probably changed a couple of times.
Okay.
So, I mean, it would not be accurate to call it swine flu.
Now the scientists more use the term H1N1 variant.
Excuse me.
So it's a variant of what we would have known from before.
Okay. Yes. So this particular
variant, is able to go from person to person.
Okay. And it keeps changing, you're saying?
Yes, the virus has the ability to change.
Virus.
Yes, because to avoid detection, essentially. So it would keep what they'll say antigenic drift. It will keep the medical term for it. It will keep switching its appearance eventually to evade the immune system to be able to affect you yet again. Because if you were infected with a virus, say last year, and your immune system is presented with that same virus this year, it will be no problem, and your immune system will be more than capable with dealing with the virus. However, if the virus switches its appearance, so say like put on a mask or a wig or something like that, it could probably just walk past your immune system and affect you. So yeah, well, think about
we have smartphones, we have smart TVs, we don't have a smart virus. Right. What are some of the symptoms, signs and symptoms of H1N1?
So some of the signs and symptoms, you could start with fever, headaches, nasal congestion, sore throat, decreased appetite or cough, and in severe cases, lung infections. And as he mentioned before, gastrointestinal symptoms, so vomiting and diarrhea. So those are the things that you would look out for and gauge the severity to know when to seek medical treatment.
But Dr. DeShong, I mean, some of these symptoms are similar to other viruses or other ailments that we may have from time to time. How do I know it's H1N1? I mean, how do I know the brand?
So the only way to truly know is to get tested, but it's not recommended for the average person with a normal immune system who is able to recover on their own with just symptomatic treatment to get the official test. We more promote testing for patients who might already be hospitalized or those who would fall into a high-risk category.
Okay, so chances are the figures that we do have would not reflect who had contracted the virus, who had contracted the ailment, because everybody would have reported
or
the figures would tested.
So the figures would really represent those who would have seek health care.
Right. And I suppose that could apply for all the other statistics that we have had in times past. Yes, Doc?
That doesn't mean exact, but they are able to extrapolate and say, well, this is a certain percentage of the population may have contracted from the population that we are certain about. Right. So they are able to, I guess, extrapolate and say, you know, this amount of the population, they may have been affected by the virus.
Dr. DeShong, you mentioned the severity of it. At what point do I say, hey, let me call an alarm because this thing is getting too terrible. I need to seek medical attention. Because really, people who have gotten influenza in times past, and even as we speak, they take treatment and they get over it. But at what point do I call an alarm or sound an alarm?
Normally, we would say to sound an alarm if your condition, normally after 2 days to 3 days, you would expect to start to feel better, to start to recover. The flu could last up to 2 weeks. But if, but if you have worsening symptoms or deterioration in your symptoms, you develop a new symptom, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing. If you fall into a high risk group, so if you're pregnant, you're known to have diabetes, you're asthmatic, definitely that would prompt you to seek health advice earlier.
Right. What about eating habits? Is it that your eating habits have to be monitored in terms of how often you eat and it's reduced because of the
So the virus itself causes a decrease in appetite. And normally as you recover, your appetite would return, but the risk is to become dehydrated.
Right.
So we definitely advise increased fluids and so forth. So let's say someone isn't able to eat or drink, and on top of that, they have vomiting and diarrhea. So they become very dehydrated, very weak. That could really push them over the edge. So they may need IV fluids or so forth. So definitely, if your intake is not adequate and you're losing fluids as well, you should seek treatment early.
And also, just to add to that, also we have to think about children. As an adult, you might be able to say, you know, you're having an issue. Children might be able to speak for themselves, so to keep a closer eye on them, be a vigilant parent, monitor the fever, even if it is that you have to get a thermometer to monitor them. And I guess you would know your child, you would know how their daily intake on average. So, you know, if you find that it's not coming back up, then that is a reason to carry them to the hospital.
What about let's talk about the high-risk groups, because you just mentioned children. I suspect that children are among the high-risk groups. Let's talk a little bit about those that fall into that category.
So the high-risk groups would be children less than 5, but especially those less than 2. People older than 65 years old, pregnant women, those who have comorbid conditions, so diabetes, asthma, any lung condition, liver, renal impairment, all those would fall under high-risk categories and should expect or may suffer worsening complications, pneumonias, etc. So they definitely would need to seek health care earlier.
Why would these individuals you have just mentioned fall into the high-risk groups?
A lot of it is because of the impairment of the immune system. So someone who is immunocompromised, or even if you have diabetes, you would be considered immunocompromised. You may not be able to mount the response as quickly to the virus and therefore suffer complications or worsening severity. And the same goes for children as well.
Pregnant women.
And pregnant women,
Their immunity has been compromised too?
Their immunity,
That's interesting.
Pregnancy is a high risk period in life. They say
that's 1 foot in the, I thought it was a blessing to be pregnant.
1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on the land.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, but the pregnant person would be at increased risk. 1, the immunity, and then they may suffer from other complications, lowered hemoglobin, they may be anemic. It's easier for them to become dehydrated, greater fluid loss, and then they are also caring for another life. So definitely they would need to get treatment early as well.
Speaking of which, when we come back, we talk a little bit about treatment and how we can help us treat with when we get H1N1 and maybe other forms of influenza, other strains of influenza. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Passing over opportunities repeatedly.
Passing over opportunities repeatedly? What is that all about?
The word poor means passing over opportunities repeatedly. Girl, I so poor, and I've made up my mind not to pass over any opportunity again, especially this upcoming one.
What opportunity is that?
Poor man's dinner.
Poor man's dinner? That's an event or an opportunity?
Well, I call it an opportunity because it's a fundraiser for Murta's Place, the home for abused women now.
Nice. I love supporting those events, you know.
And you get to dine in fine style, plus make a contribution for a worthy cause.
Well, tell me more. Tell me more.
You now start to get excited. Well, it's on Sunday, December 8th, 2019 at the South Caribbean Conference Grounds, starting from 6 p.m.
Well, this is one opportunity I don't want to pass over.
Hold up. Don't forget to pass over your ticket money.
But wait, how much? And where can I get the tickets?
Only $200. And you can get your tickets at the South Caribbean Conference office.
My mouth dribbling already. What's the date again?
Sunday, December 8th, 2019 at the South Caribbean Conference Grounds, 6 p.m.
Nice. Don't pass over this opportunity. See you there. For more information, please contact the office at 224-3218 extension 4686.
Hey, you've come back. Thank you for joining us again. If you have caught the cold, I could assure you that it's not influenza. But whatever it is, we have the right treatment for you. Trust me. Well, trust the doctors in particular. Let's trust Dr. Skeete. We want to look, first of all, what is meant by H in the H1N1 and what is meant by N?
Sure. So as I mentioned before, the influenza virus is an automixer virus. Basically, it's a RNA virus with an envelope around it. Okay. You can think of it like a ball.
You want to translate RNA? Yeah.
Ribonucleic acid. We don't need to.
Okay.
But basically, think of it as a ball.
Right.
And then think about it like you have an H on top of the ball and an N, N on top. And you have several, what they will call glycoprotein. So the H will stand for hemagglutinin and the N will stand for neuraminidase.
Right.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So like neuraminidase, but
many days.
I got scared because I thought you had to put many days.
So essentially, the H, think about the H on the ball, allows the virus to gain access into the host cells, which will be our body. It will gain access into the cells.
Okay.
In the cells, it will copy itself, right? And then it will bud off and go on to infect.
So does it break into the cell? Is it a burglar, is it a thief that comes into the cell?
Well, actually, Pastor, is a little more simpler than that. You know, your cell would recognize that particular H, or you call a glycoprotein, and allow it entry into the cell.
Okay.
You know, I press it, yeah.
Okay. And it comes in, and what was it, N?
What is
N?
it?
And the N is?
Oh, the neuraminidase.
Yeah.
Neuraminidase.
Okay.
Essentially, that,
See what I mean?
that allows the cell to leave. You know, after the cell copies itself a couple of times, it allows the cells to leave to go on to infect other cells.
Okay.
You know, and basically, if you want to talk a little bit more about the transmission,
I'd love to talk about that. Yeah.
right? When you sneeze, any respiratory droplet, aerosol, basically, you could infect human to human. Also, there's the mode of transmission where, you know, somebody, a surface is infected, either with like cool nasal secretions or droplets. Okay. And basically, the virus is able to survive on the surface for a couple hours after. Wow. You pass and you touch the surface, and then you touch either your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and then you basically infect yourself with like a doorknob. Right. Somebody with the cold passes and opens the door. Right. You pass about 2 hours later, open the same door, right? And then you rub your eye, you rub your nose. That is essentially how the virus is spread from person to person.
Okay. There's not any part of the body it enters.
It's usually the mucous membranes.
That's the mucous membrane.
Your eye, your nose, your mouth.
Can I get this from eating swine, eating for a lot of people, this is an interesting question because we are around Christmas time.
Commonly, no, because those things tend to be cooked. So that is not a normal route of transmission.
Okay, but you can get other stuff from eating ham, of course.
Yes, but you wouldn't go into
right.
That is a definite yes.
All right, okay. Treatment, vaccination is perhaps your preferred way of treating this. Is that correct? Well, maybe you could talk a little bit about prevention because I suppose that is what vaccination is all about.
Right. So to start with prevention, one, you have a healthy lifestyle. So we look at your exercise, nutrition, to make sure that your body is equipped and ready for any disease that you would come into contact with.
Right.
And that's good for anything.
Right.
Outside of that, we look at hand washing. If you sneeze into a tissue paper and you discard it one time.
Right.
Let's say you don't have any tissue paper available. You sneeze into your sleeve. You could wash your hands with soap and water or alcohol-based hand sanitizer if soap and water is unavailable. But that is first line.
Right. Is it safe to say that the virus is like a roaring lion seeking whom to devour, meaning that it attacks those whose immune systems have been compromised?
So they would be at greater risk, those who are immunocompromised, but even a healthy individual may still be able to contract the disease.
Okay.
But to have the best fighting chance, you want to make sure that you are prepared, you're in the best health that you could be in.
Okay.
Outside of the hand washing, another important preventative tip would be to avoid work if you do happen to become ill, and that's so that, as he mentioned, it's spread via droplet, via a sneeze or a cough. So you don't want to put yourself or to put others at risk by them coming into contact with it.
Right.
And then lastly, but I don't want to say most importantly, but very high up on the list would be the vaccinations. And that primes your immune system to what is out there, what it could expect, so that, God forbid, you contract the illness, you going based on memory. So you're able to develop a faster response and to contain things much easily.
Scientifically speaking, I'm not sure if you could answer this, what does the vaccine contain?
So the vaccine contains, so every year the vaccine changes. As Dr. Skeete mentioned before, we have an antigenic drift. So you get slight changes in the vaccine yearly. This year's vaccine would contain H1N1, H3N2, which also falls under the type A influenza, and then it may contain 1 or 2 strains from your type B influenza, which also causes the flu, but less commonly than the type A.
So what are you saying? You're taking H1N1 to fight H1N1. Is that what you're saying?
It may seem so, but really you're taking an inactivated form or one gene from the virus so that you're not giving yourself the flu to fight the flu, but you're giving yourself some component of the flu virus so that you could build the memory. So when you actually come into contact with the real thing, you're able to generate a response faster.
So the body, is it that the body develops antibodies against the H1N1 inactivated state? And then okay.
That's correct.
Okay, good. I'm learning something here now. All right. Vitamin C. People talk a lot about the consumption of vitamin C. How important is that, Dr. Skeete, in terms of fighting not just this particular virus, but any virus?
Well, Pastor, the topic of vitamin C has been a sore and long debated topic, right? There are people on different sides of the fence.
Is that right?
So, yes, they attempted to debunk and distinguish between what was myth and what was fact. By a particular study that was done in one of the Cochrane databases. Basically, it was a meta-analysis study. That's the highest level of evidence they could get. They took about 29 different studies, inclusive of like about 11,000 people. And they basically tried to ascertain whether vitamin C was beneficial. Essentially, skipping out all the in-between and going straight to the results, there was a mild benefit noted in people that used vitamin C daily. Not when you get the cold, not you pick it up and then you start to use it, right? You may have a shorter duration of the cold. It cannot stop you from getting the cold. It cannot change the symptoms that you're having. The only thing you could do is basically decrease the duration. This particular benefit is more seen in children versus adults, and also in people with high demand, like say soldiers, runners, skiers, and so forth. They tend to have the greater benefit.
Okay. Let me enter into some rugged, rough waters here where it comes to conventional medicine versus natural remedies. That's not the discussion today. But somebody may argue, Doc, I don't need your vaccination because my grandmother told me when I get the common cold or the influenza, I could just go outside, cut some fever grass and boil it and I'm good to go. And it worked for them. And why not try it? It may work for me. How would you respond to that?
Right. Well, firstly, we'd start off by saying that it's actually more dangerous to get the flu naturally than to get vaccinated from the flu. And that's because of the complications that you could get along, especially if you fall into the high-risk groups that we mentioned before. So that's one.
So again, it's more dangerous to get the flu naturally, which means what?
meaning you go out there, someone's coughs or sneeze infects you, and then you get the flu.
Right.
So you would build the same immunity as if you were to get the flu virus vaccine.
Right.
But you would also put yourself at risk for getting the complications that could come along with the infection in itself.
Which include that.
Which includes that.
Okay.
So you definitely, we definitely want to avoid that by any means necessary.
Right. Okay.
Traditionally, symptom relief, you may use your paracetamol, increase your hydration or so. Someone may say, okay, well, I will use garlic. I have a sore throat. I may use honey and lime. I may use meringue. But you have to take into consideration the additional effects that these natural remedies may have. It may lower your blood pressure. Someone who has the flu, who is already dehydrated, who has vomiting, who has diarrhea, that would actually exacerbate their symptoms, could lead to lightheadedness, falls, and a fall in the elderly could be detrimental. Faints. So you definitely would avoid those except under the advice of a medical doctor.
But I mean, some may argue that when I get vaccination, I also experience side effects, like I may get dizzy and stuff like that. So whereas I may get some side effects from using moringa and whatever, I could also get it from the conventional medicine. How do you respond to that?
There was actually a study done to look at the side effects of the flu vaccine. Commonly, you get soreness, tenderness, pain at the injection site. Outside of that, they took two groups. They did a random study. They injected one group with salt water, one group with the vaccine, and both groups reported runny nose, cough, and flu-like symptoms. Just to say that it may not necessarily be the vaccine in itself. It might have been previous exposure to the virus. You may have the virus up to 48 hours before actually exhibiting any symptoms. So who's to say that you just wasn't exposed to the virus before and that is not necessarily secondary to the vaccine in itself?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, just to make one note, in addition to hygiene, as we were saying before, the virus, you can be like about 1 day before you actually start to show symptoms, you are able to transfer the virus to someone else. So just something to be mindful of, and a week to 2 weeks after, you can still transmit that. Even though you're feeling better and you decided, all right, well, I'm going to go back out to work, you still have the capability to transfer that virus to somebody else. I'm glad I made that mistake also. So bacteria and viruses are two different things. So antibiotics treat bacteria, and antivirals, I guess, treat antivirus. Viruses. So generally, and we have I guess a thought that, you know, when you go to the doctor with a cough and cold, I guess the same coryza umbrella symptoms, we want antibiotics, which I think that's outdated, and we shouldn't make mention of that. Right? We should not ask for antibiotics to treat a virus, unless, you know, there's a superimposed bacterial infection, like say a pneumonia or something, an actual bacteria that is affecting you because of your weakened state.
Well, I'm glad you made a mistake as well. That's interesting. So if you go by and the druggist or the pharmacist tells you you need an antibiotic for a viral infection, you should.
You're actually creating superbugs probably when you do that.
And we have a lot of antibiotic resistance because of that. So we're trying to treat viruses with antibiotics, and all that does is allow your body to develop resistance to it. So then when you actually have a bacterial infection and you now try to use the antibiotic, it's not going to work. So that's definitely something that we need to work on, going to the pharmacy and demanding antibiotics, and going to the doctor and demanding antibiotics for viral infection.
Because we are in the antibiotic age, however, due to our abuse of antibiotics, we're actually running out of antibiotics that can be used to treat certain infections, just to make mention of it.
Let's bring it to a close.
Sure.
I'm a child of God. I personally am a pastor. I believe in God. He is my physician. And you have told me that I must go and get myself vaccinated, but I think God can heal me. How do you respond to that as a doctor? Because both of you are Christians as well.
Correct.
So if somebody is insisting that my faith in God will heal me, how would you respond to that? I don't need you guys.
So definitely I would agree with the power of God to heal. But we use a threefold approach. So we pray to God for healing. We believe and we pray for discernment, that God would guide us to a doctor who would treat us to the best of their ability and what we would need at that point in time. And then we do the best that we could do. We look at our diet, our lifestyle, exercise, nutrition, and we put them all together. So it's not to take away from the belief in God, but to believe that God covers all.
Wow.
Yes, and all knowledge comes from the master physician.
Thank you guys so much. You could have put it better. The great physician. He is the great physician, but he is not the only physician. He's just the great one. And these two individuals are working on his behalf. One thought came to mind, as was mentioned earlier, about this H1N1, the vaccination. We get H1N1 to fight H1N1. It reminds me of 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. He who knew no sin became sin for us so that he can get rid of sin. Isn't that wonderful? Christ took in his body the infection so that we could be infectionless. Try him, JC, 24/7. And that cold that you have caught, you don't have to keep it. You can release it in Jesus' name.
Amen.